Hi, today I want to tell you about how to get started with Dynamics F&O, finance and supply chain. And in the next 10 minutes, you're gonna proceed straight from empty system to the first transaction. Thank you for watching.
So here we are going to navigate to the environment we created last time through LCS. Click log on to environment. It will take a minute or two since you haven't logged in into this yet. And in here you'll see that you have DAT company account. DAT is the default one. It has nothing in it. And if you click the drop down, if you've done everything correctly, you will see nothing, meaning that there is not even a demo data account in here. So we're going to type in legal entities and going to create our first legal entity right there. In here, click new, give it a name, usually a 3 or 4 letter acronym, and signify the country of origin. In here, in my examples, I'm going to use USA. For everything, it's easiest for me. You'll see that there are some settings in here. For example, language. EN US is the American version of English. Then you're scrolling up and signifying the time zone. The system is time zone agnostic, so everything is in universal time. And that's why time zone conversions is quite important. Give some description to the memo. That's optional. And then we're going to go and set up the currencies. Currencies are important. You can set up brand new currencies. For example, some countries do migrate to other currencies as a result of, division and monetary reforms. So it's possible to create absolutely new currencies in there. Then we have to show up to the exchange rate types screen just to initialize. There will be values in there, but if you haven't ever been there, there will be no values. So upon opening of the screen, the values are initiated. Then we'll go to the system parameters and signify some additional parameters like the system language that is going to be used, and the system currency, and also that exchange rate type that was initialized a moment before. Then we're going to come up and create new fiscal calendars. I'm going to do this really quickly as a calendar. That's my favorite fiscal year. The drawback of this is that fiscal year closes at the start of the new year. So normally some companies stick to this. Other companies close the fiscal at the end of June. So it's very easy. It just created 12 months, and that is the fiscal calendar, the simplest version of this. Then we're going to create some chart of accounts, and in here in the chart of accounts, we're going to populate this with actual accounts. You will see that we are creating a main account, signifying the type of the account, that it's going to be a header account, and are going to save it. You could optionally specify a default currency. That's always nice when you open a journal and it's already there. Then we're going to create our first real account. And feel free to pause the video because I'm going back and forth between the Excel and the actual keying in of the data in here. And then we're creating the second account with the accounts receivable, specifying the type of the account. It's an asset account, and that defaults the debit and credit, where the focus will be. And there you go and specify the inventory account where our fictional business will hold the inventory in there. It's also an asset. The next account is going to be prepaid expenses. Here I mistyped, but you should type in assets in there. I'll later correct it, but pay attention to what you're keying in. Before you do the postings, you can always change things. After you do the posting, things get more complicated. Here I'm also specifying the Apple Cache. That is kind of a new electronic type of an account in there, and other cache equivalents. Cache equivalents are, it's going to be a total account. With the total account, you specify which accounts you are summing up in here, from which range to which range. And that's how we are later are going to be able to use it in reporting. So now we've keyed in the cache portion of the accounts. You see that it was quite easy to do. You follow the same and key in the extra accounts. Feel free to pause the video as always. When I was keying these things in, I was in front of a TV and it took me an hour with all of this. It's possible to automate this, but I was a little bit lazy and I just keyed the things in. Later, maybe I'll come up with a task recording that you can just run and it will create all the accounts for you, but so far I haven't come up with that. That's a nice strategy if you key in the same things all over and over again. You could utilize the task recorder playback capabilities. So in here, I'm keying in all of the different expenses that my 3D printing business would incur, these types of expenses. And finally, some additional accounts that are summing up in nature. So we're gonna figure out eventually how to do this reporting, and these accounts will hold the values in there. One more thing that to set up is the number sequences. You just click the generate in there and it will give you some values in there. You'll notice that some values were already there and they're initialized by the system as you go through the forms. And there are hundreds of these automatic numbering conventions. The system luckily has the wizard. It makes sense to customize some of them. We're not gonna do it right now, but later I'll show you how to do it in the future videos. Then the next thing is to configure the account structures. And think of the account structures as the building blocks of your future reports. So in here, we'll create an account structure for assets and include all of the different accounts, ranges of the accounts. You'll notice the double dot in there. And you can see that from up to account 40,000, up to that, not inclusive. These are all of my assets. We can activate this account structure. Behind the scenes, there are jobs that are activating this. Normally, you don't have to set up things for the batch jobs. Just follow the default prompts as you see on the screen. Alt-S is a good shortcut to save all of these different account structures. And next thing to do is to set up journals. We're gonna set up the first journal that we have. It's gonna be a general journal. With a general journal, you could just do general postings. And this is the daily journal. We could also specify the number sequence, how our vouchers are going to be numbered. Later we could rename this and maybe make a smarter numbering schema, but I don't care about this right now because we're about to do some postings in here. Then set up the default currency. It's optional, but it's nice to have because when you create a new line, you won't have to populate this. So let's go and create the first journal entry. It's very easy to do. Click new, select the type of the journal, which we've just created. Click lines. When you click lines, there are several ways to enter one transactions. I'm going to use a multi-line way to enter a single transaction. So we're going to do a posting that we are getting a printer, and the owner of that company is transferring a printer at the cost of $500. So in here, we got the fixed asset, and that was transferred to us from the owner's capital. So debits and credits were in doubt. Remember the basics in there. The assets are increased by debits, and the liabilities are increased by credits. There we can enter the description in there. It's always nice to go and validate the voucher. Make sure that it balances. Since these are multiple lines, they have to occur on the same day, have the same voucher number, etc., etc. So it will catch errors. If something doesn't balance, the validation process catch errors. It also runs before the posting. You could see that we have posted a voucher. Our first voucher, it has been just posted. Congratulations.